Today, I'm going to be making the 6th chapter to my mascot horror game series, Minced. Not only am I adding new mascots, but I'm also going to be showing off some insane new lore, levels, and mechanics. I also have a crazy surprise that I'm going to reveal at the end of the video, so make sure to watch the entire thing. But before we get into all that, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. If you've ever wanted to make a horror game like Minced, or really any kind of game, Skillshare is an awesome place to start. It's an online learning platform packed with thousands of creative classes, including tons all about game development. Whether you want to dive into engines like Unreal and Unity, or bring your own mascot creations to life in Blender, Skillshare has the perfect course for you. You don't need any special experience either. Skillshare has beginner-friendly classes that walk you through everything step by step, from building a story and mechanics to designing levels and even small things like sound design. You can even learn how to make your own mascot games from start to finish, just like Minced. Recently, I've been taking Marcus Brownlee's YouTube Success course, which has been really interesting. One thing I love is that classes are project-based, so you're actually making things as you learn. It's super motivating, and by the end of your first class, you'll have something tangible that you can actually show off. Another thing I love about Skillshare is just how broad the content is. Maybe you want to focus on storytelling and world building? They've got classes on that. Want to make your own soundtrack? Yep. You can learn music production too. Want to make YouTube videos like me? They got that. Want to animate the creepiest mascot possible? There are classes for that too. And beyond just the classes, there's a huge creative community on Skillshare. You can post your projects, get feedback, see how other people tackle the same challenges, and just connect with other people who love building fun stuff. So if you've got a wild game idea in your head, or just want to learn how to bring spooky mascots to life, you can use the link in the description to start learning now. And who knows, maybe your game will be the next viral horror hit. The first 500 people to use my link today will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Now anyways, on to the video. Over a year ago now, I released a mascot horror game that I made in 24 hours called Minced. Minced is a game where you explore an abandoned meat processing plant, all while a giant meat man named Chuck Steak chases you. This game was quickly followed up by chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5, which all introduced various different meat characters like Silas Sausage, Patty Burger, and many others. In chapter 5's final moments, we pushed Chuck Steak into the meat grinder, and that's just kind of how I ended the game. I honestly thought you guys were getting tired of seeing me make more and more chapters of the meat game, but apparently I'm wrong because, of course, you all wanted to see a chapter 6. So I decided to go all out and add tons of your guys' comments and ideas to the game. Now, before I started working on chapter 6, I needed to develop a story that would take place after the ending of chapter 5. Obviously, this was going to have to take place after the meat grinder incident that occurs right before the ending. A lot of you commented that I should add more levels to the game, as well as make the game a little longer. So that was my first priority. In all the previous chapters, we had a massive underground facility for the meat factory, but in chapter 6, I decided that it was time to switch that up and give it a new theme. So I started brainstorming and reading through some of your comments to see what you guys wanted. The factory already has tons of abandoned industrial stuff, but because mascot games have plenty of different exploitable tropes, I figured there was one thing that it could not go without. Oh yeah, baby, we're adding a school. So I got to work making the school level. I grabbed a few school-related packs off the Unreal Engine marketplace and imported them in. I then started laying out the entire first level. I added a big main hallway and some different classrooms branching off. Then I added a lunch area and a transition door to the next level. And after all that, it was starting to look pretty good. But again, it still just felt like something was missing. And this is where I decided it was time to make the... What one are we on? 9, 10? We have 10 mascots in this game? Dude, I'm getting too old for this stuff. Anyway, the 10th mascot of the Minced series, Mrs. Gobble. I had so many people in my comments suggest another female mascot for chapter 6, so I figured I absolutely had to add one. Miss Gobble is a giant turkey who lives in and patrols the school area, and if you want to escape, you're gonna have to make it past her. Miss Gobble was introduced as a Thanksgiving-themed mascot during the Meat Factory's Nutrition Month, but her character was quickly retired after several kids reported nightmares and strange incidents during trips to her Harvest classroom. The Harvest classroom is a rotting classroom hall, sealed deep beneath the facility. Every so often the bell rings, not to signal a class, but to let you know that she's coming. Anyway, making Miss Gobble was a whole process. I first had to find a model of a turkey, then I had to find a model of a cooked turkey and fuse them together into some sort of weird half-baked turkey thing. I figured that it fit pretty well within the game, so I decided to throw together some animations and add her right in. I then used a bit of simple scripting to make her patrol the school area, and if she catches you, it's over. Anyways, once you make it past Miss Gobble and into the play area, you find yourself in front of a slide, which upon going down, leads you to the next level of the game. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Minced Furnace Rooms. This is the area where everything useless goes. Bones, guts and any other meaty byproduct from the Minced facility goes down here. Anyway, to design this level, I made a huge empty area and started filling it with furnaces. I added fire, smoke, and a flickering light to each of the furnaces. And trust me, it goes on forever. It's a huge level, but it too was definitely missing something. So of course, this is where the 11th mascot of Minced comes chasing after you, Henry Ham. Henry is a giant slab of ham with one hand over the top. Henry is completely blind and can only hear you if you step on the metal scraps across the factory floor, so watch your step. Henry was a super fun mascot to make. I quite literally took a model of Ham and a giant hand and slapped them together. Special thanks again to Sapple for the concept. Now that he's done though, I just made some simple animations for him and imported him right into the project. I also programmed him to just full sprint at you if he hears you, but he doesn't have any chase music, so he's completely silent, which is so scary, especially when running around in the dark. Anyways, now that the furnace level has a monster, it was time to add our puzzle to actually give the player an objective. It's sweltering hot in the furnace rooms, so I'm making the player find meat freezers to cool off. To do that, I found this freezer model that looked perfect, so I slapped a door onto it and made it into a blueprint. Now all you have to do is walk up and press E when the temperature gets too hot, and you'll cool off. Simple enough, right? Except it gets super hard to find your way around the room without running into Henry. Anyways, after you find a key hidden in the furnace, a gate opens that leads to an elevator, but before you can get in the elevator, I had to make something interesting to add some lore. So you turn around to see the wildest thing I think I've ever added to Minced. But if you want to find out what that is, you'll just have to play the game when it comes out. Anyways, after you get into the elevator, you go to the next level, which is honestly the best level in all of Chapter 6. Now the last ending for the game was pretty awesome, but so far in this game, I haven't really tied together the ending from Chapter 5. So for Chapter 6, I figured it was time to reveal the truth behind what happened to Chuck Steak. Once you exit the elevator, you walk through a small control room and up to this overlook, and then you see it. The thing so many of you have been asking for, a giant amalgamation of meat known as the Renderborn. I don't want to spoil what happens after, but the ending is super cool, and I will tell you that it involves quite a few old characters making a comeback. So make sure to go play the game when I release it. Anyways, the final thing I needed to do was make a bunch of hidden lore throughout the game to drive the story. I threw together some posters for each of the mascots and hid them around the map. I also made sure to include a couple notes that previous employees left to help the player understand what's going on. And overall, I think the game is pretty good. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and recommend Minced Chapter 6 to your favorite YouTuber and streamer to play. I've honestly really enjoyed watching all these huge YouTubers and streamers play my games. And speaking of YouTubers, we're almost at 50,000 subscribers. So make sure to subscribe. I know we just passed the 46,000 subscriber mark, and honestly, I could not be more grateful for all of you. So thank you guys so much. It's going to take me a little bit to just polish some stuff up, so Minced Chapter 6 should probably be released in about a week or so, give or take. So don't worry if you can't find it right away. Also, make sure to click the link below to start learning with Skillshare.
Hey, what's going on? I edit Goose's videos. He pays me in like peanuts, but it's fun. He gave me permission to promote my YouTube channel that I made recently. So if you want to go check that out, you can. I kind of just play games with my friends, and we are really unhinged, so prepare yourself for... Just prepare. If you want to go check that out, you can. This is all of my time. He's banging on my door as we speak, so I gotta go.